You don't actually feel broke the way people think broke feels. You feel something sharper than that. You feel used. You feel stretched. You feel that quiet burn in your chest when you send an invoice and immediately want to apologize for it. Like asking to be paid is a disruption. Like receiving is something you have to earn by being endlessly pleasant. And the confusing part is that you're not lazy. You're not careless. You're not someone who refuses to try. You show up. You deliver. You over-deliver. You fix things that weren't your job to fix. You answer messages you don't owe. You keep the peace. You make it easy. You make it smooth. You make it worth it for them. So why does it still feel like money slips through your hands like water? Why do you keep ending up in situations where you're exhausted, underpaid, and quietly resentful, even when you did everything right? What if the problem isn't your talent, or your effort, or your worth? What if the problem is that your life has been running on an invisible exchange rate you never consciously agreed to? Because there's a law beneath money that most people never name. Whatever you repeatedly give away for free becomes your baseline price in the eyes of the world, and eventually in your own nervous system too. If you've lived this, you know how it starts. It starts innocently. You take on extra because you want to be helpful. You lower your rate because you want to be chosen. You say yes because you don't want to be difficult. You do just one more thing because you want them to feel taken care of. You tell yourself it's temporary, that once you prove yourself, you'll raise your price, that once things stabilize, you'll renegotiate. But the renegotiation never comes, because the pattern doesn't announce itself as a pattern. It disguises itself as being a good person, as being loyal, as being grateful, as being humble, as being the kind of person who doesn't make money a big deal. So you keep absorbing the cost. You keep taking the hit. You keep telling yourself it's fine. You keep pretending you don't notice the imbalance until you notice it everywhere. You notice it when they praise you, but hesitate to pay you. You notice it when they say you're amazing, but still try to get a discount. You notice it when they come to you for help, but disappear when it's time to reciprocate. You notice it in your own stomach when you think about raising your rates, like your body is bracing for rejection before you've even spoken. And then comes the part nobody admits. You start resenting the very people you tried so hard to please. Not because you're cruel, but because your giving has crossed the line into self-abandonment. You can feel it, that internal fracture. The place where generosity stops being generous and starts being a slow leak. You might even hear yourself thinking things you don't like. Why do I always end up here? Why do people always take? Why does nobody value what I do? But the deeper ache is this. You know you helped build this dynamic, and you don't know how to stop without becoming someone you fear being. Hard, cold, difficult, unlovable. So you stay in the pattern, because at least the pattern is familiar. Here's what shifts everything. Undercharging is rarely about math. It's about safety. People don't only price based on skill. They price based on what their nervous system believes they're allowed to receive without consequence. And when receiving has ever come with guilt, conflict, abandonment, punishment, or shame, your body learns a twisted equation. Less is safer. Less money feels like less risk. Less demand feels like less exposure. Less asking feels like less chance of being left. So you become someone who survives by being low maintenance. You become someone who trades value for belonging. You become someone who makes your needs smaller so the relationship can continue. And then you wonder why you keep feeling depleted. This is where value exchange dynamics stops being a money topic and becomes a lens for your entire life. Because it doesn't only track what you charge, it tracks what you tolerate. It tracks what you normalize. It tracks the silent bargains you make when you're afraid of losing the room. Value exchange dynamics says something almost confrontational. Your income is often shaped less by your capability and more by your tolerance for imbalance. Not because you deserve to be exploited, but because patterns repeat until they are named. And once you name it, you can stop treating your exhaustion like a personal flaw and start seeing it as a relational economy problem. You're not failing. You're leaking. And leaks don't require shame. They require repair. Value exchange dynamics has roots that predate modern money mindset language. Long before invoices and apps and subscriptions, humans still lived inside exchange. In early trade systems, reciprocity wasn't optional. It was social glue. Communities survived because giving had an answer. When imbalance grew, trust fractured, and the system corrected itself, sometimes through new norms, sometimes through conflict, sometimes through collapse. Ethical economics, long before it became a textbook phrase, wrestled with this same question. What is fair exchange? How do you price labor without stripping dignity? In many historical societies, what people feared wasn't money itself, but exploitation. One party gaining while the other slowly lost their capacity to live. Debt peonage, predatory lending, and coerced labor weren't just financial arrangements. They were distortions of exchange that trapped human beings inside chronic depletion. And here's why that matters for you now. Because your life is an economy too. You have time, energy, skill, attention, emotional labor, creativity, presence. These are currencies. When you give them away without a return that sustains you, you don't just lose money, you lose your future capacity. You can see this pattern in modern work everywhere. You see it in the employee who becomes indispensable by doing what nobody else will do. They cover gaps. They solve crises. They answer late-night messages. They keep the system running. They get praised, sometimes even loved. And yet, their paycheck barely moves. Their value becomes a compliment instead of compensation. They don't realize that the company has learned their exchange rate. Unlimited output for limited return. And the longer it goes on, the harder it feels to change without risking their identity inside that workplace. You see it in the freelancer who keeps discounting to get the client. They tell themselves it's strategy. It's building a portfolio. It's temporary. But temporary becomes a brand, and soon their calendar is full and their bank account is not. They've priced themselves into a cage. And the most painful part is that when they finally try to raise rates, the clients who were only there for access leave immediately, revealing a truth they avoided. The relationship was never built on respect. It was built on discount. You see it in caregiving professions and emotional labor roles, where society often expects infinite giving as a moral duty. Teachers, nurses, caregivers, social workers, the friend who always holds everyone's pain. The work is called noble, essential, sacred. Yet the exchange is often thin. That thin exchange doesn't only create financial stress, it creates a psychic wound, the feeling of being relied on and undervalued at the same time. And you can see it publicly too, in the way creators, artists and entrepreneurs are pressured to provide constant access. People want content, advice, help, emotional resonance, entertainment, community, often for free, often instantly, often with entitlement disguised as fandom. The creator who tries to be endlessly available eventually learns the same lesson. Admiration is not the same thing as fair exchange. If you confuse attention for reciprocity, you will get applause and still feel empty. Value exchange. Dynamics explains why this keeps happening. When your boundaries are porous, takers don't have to be evil to take. They just follow the opening. When your pricing is apologetic, people learn to negotiate you down. When you overgive to avoid discomfort, imbalance becomes the emotional cost of peace. And then your body starts keeping score. That's what resentment is. Resentment is your internal accountant, whispering that the exchange is wrong. So how do you repair the leak without turning into someone you don't recognize? You start by telling the truth about what your giving is costing you, not in a dramatic confession, in a quiet inventory. Notice which relationships, clients, jobs, and obligations leave you feeling smaller afterward. Notice where you dread the notification sound. Notice where you feel that tension in your throat before you respond. Your body is already tracking the imbalance. You're just becoming willing to look. Then you practice asking in clean language. Clean language is not aggressive. It's not apologetic. It's clear. It sounds like, here's my rate. Here's what that includes. This is the timeline I can commit to. That would be an additional scope. I'm not available for that. Clean language protects both parties because it stops the negotiation from becoming emotional. It makes exchange visible, which is where fairness can finally exist. Next, you stop over-delivering as a form of self-protection. Over-delivering often isn't generosity. It's insurance. It's the hope that if you give more than promised, you won't be criticized. You won't be abandoned. You won't be replaced. But that insurance policy is expensive, and it rarely pays out. Deliver what you agreed to. Do it well. Let excellence be enough without turning it into self-erasure. You also begin choosing reciprocity as a standard, not a bonus. Pay attention to who responds when you state a boundary. Pay attention to who respects your time without punishing you for having needs. Pay attention to who values you without requiring you to be endlessly flexible. Reciprocity isn't perfection, it's willingness. It's the presence of care on both sides. And when the fear rises, because it will, don't treat the fear as a reason to retreat. Treat it as evidence that you are changing a survival pattern. Your nervous system might interpret fair exchange as danger at first, because imbalance felt like belonging. So you soothe the body while you hold the line. You remind yourself that discomfort is not a verdict. It's a recalibration. Finally, set one boundary that has money attached to it. Not because money is everything, but because money forces clarity. It reveals where people expected access. It reveals where you expected to buy safety with overgiving. It reveals where your yes has been too cheap. One boundary is enough to begin the repair, because once you change the exchange rate in one place, your whole life starts learning a new language. Here's what it feels like on the other side of this, and it's quieter than you imagine. Before, you lived braced. You gave quickly, explained too much, responded too fast, adjusted yourself to keep people comfortable. You watched money leave and told yourself it was normal. You felt that inner heat of resentment and swallowed it because you didn't want conflict. You were constantly negotiating your worth in the background, even when nobody asked you to. After, there's a different sensation in your body. You feel steadier when you quote your rate, because you're no longer asking permission to exist. You feel calmer when you say no, because you're not afraid that boundaries make you unlovable. You feel clarity where you used to feel fog, because exchange is no longer hidden. You feel self-respect returning, not as arrogance, but as alignment. You still give, you still care, you still offer real value, but your giving stops being a sacrifice on the altar of approval. You stop buying belonging with depletion, and that's when money starts changing, not as a miracle, but as a consequence of repair. When you stop leaking value, you stop living in the economy of desperation. You start living in the economy of truth. If you look at your life right now, where is the exchange most imbalanced? Your job, a client relationship, a family dynamic, the way you price your work. And what is one clean sentence you could say this week that would restore fairness without cruelty and without apology? When you keep undercharging to stay safe, you don't just lose money, you train the world to ignore your boundaries, and you train your own body to confuse depletion with love. Fair exchange is not greed, it's survival with dignity. If this episode put words to what you've been living, share in the comments where you've been leaking value and what boundary you're ready to set without guilt. Subscribe if you want more teachings that decode the patterns beneath money stress with grounded clarity, so you can build wealth without selling pieces of yourself to earn it.